President Obama will soon return from his meeting with the Chinese president. Top advisor to the president of China calls the meeting historic. A top U.S. official says the two men engaged in serious discussions on the military, human rights, and says cybersecurity is now at the center of the relationship between the world's largest economies. Our next guest, Chang, wrote that what matters coming out of the summit isn't friendship, but for the Chinese to stop destructively conducting all kinds of things we need to clamp down on. Chang, author of The Coming Collapse of China, joins us now live. All right, what should we take from this meeting? Explain to us what should be important out of these two world leaders getting together.
What should be important is not that we establish this friendship, because, everyone is saying, if Obama is friends with President Xi Jinping, that will lead to good relations. But the Chinese are ruthlessly pragmatic. To them, friendship's not important. They respect strength, and sometimes when you try to be friends with them, they scorn you because they see that as signs of weakness. So I think a lot of what we've been doing in this administration, and the last one as well, has really been counterproductive. And we can see China's behavior has been getting worse, not better. So it means that our assumptions on our policies are probably wrong.
Well, and even if we feel like, or the White House comes out of this feeling like it was a good meeting and they did reach some agreements, I know that you think that may not necessarily hold up back home when the president returns to China.
Yeah, well, China's never really been very good in adhering to its agreements, but now there's an added layer of complexity because you've got problems inside China. You've got a faltering economy, a political system that could very well be in disarray, the rise of the military. It means that Beijing cannot maintain good relations with other nations like us, and it also means it becomes politically impossible to adhere to agreements that were made because that would just be, sort of bowing to the foreigners, as they would say. So I think that right now this is not the right approach. The right approach is making sure that we apply disincentives for bad behavior. And because if we do that, then the Chinese will stop. Because if the cost of this is much higher than the benefits that they get from cybersecurity, South China Sea, all the rest of it, they'll stop.
What are the measures we could take? I mean, we're talking sanctions economically. What can we do?
Well, all sorts of things. Right now, China's economy is really in trouble. Growth is only maybe a third of what is advertised. Last year, China's merchandise trade surplus against the United States was 136.3% of its overall surplus. Their surplus against us was actually a record, $315.1 billion. Well, that gives us enormous leverage, especially now that China's economy is very fragile. So I think that we've got the tools. The only question is whether we have the will to use those tools.
It doesn't appear to many people that we don't currently, and certainly in different administrations across the board, there's been this tension. Does this administration step up?
Well, I think eventually it will because it will have no choice. This administration, like the one before it, wants to have cooperative relations with Beijing. And, of course, who doesn't? But, the Chinese have been quite belligerent. They've been taking reefs and shoals away from the Philippines. They've been intruding into Japanese waters and airspace. They've been giving the North Koreans mobile missile launchers for nuclear-capable missiles that can hit the United States. We have to respond. And so I think that we've seen the pivot, President Obama's signature policy, and we're going to see some more as well.
All right, Chang, we always appreciate your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up.